Hello and welcome to the food programme. What we're talking about today sounds a bit marginal, quirky and posh even, but of course it isn't, or we wouldn't have made this episode. It's definitely cheesy and worth a listen. In the crypt of the magnificent 18th century Christchurch Spitalfield on the edge of the City of London, the tension is rising. There's a line of people wearing aprons, waiting with an anxious air behind a table laden with huge truckles of cheese.
We've got rusty reds, we've got chocolate colours, we've got myriad moulds, bacteria, all sorts of exciting different spots of different moulds. It's exciting.
You've got a nice fine development there on the goals. Really good.
The cheeses on display were once identical. They now look very different because they've all been aged in various imaginative ways. With the cheese wire poised, the big reveal is about to happen as Ruth Raskin from the Fine Cheese Company explains.
What's going on? Cheese is going on. It's the amazing moment of truth. They've been looking after these cheeses since last summer. Not really knowing what's going on inside, hoping that they know, planning, thinking, preparing, and this is the moment they find out if it really worked.
This moment of truth follows months of careful work. The custodians of the cheeses have been devising and deploying different techniques to change their flavour, their texture, their aroma. And that involved turning, washing or brushing, as well as perhaps altering temperatures and humidity levels. This is the little-known world of competitive cheese ripening, or affinage, a word you'll hear a lot in this programme. Affinage comes from the French, meaning to refine something, and it's practiced by affineurs. It's a technique we're finally starting to become aware of in this country, as cheese specialist and writer Patrick McGuigan explains.
In France and Italy, affineurs are very common. So the cheesemaker sells the cheese at a very young age to a specialist cheese maturer, the affineur. It's less of a tradition in the UK, but there's definitely more interest in it over the past 5 to 10 years. If you went to a supermarket or a cheese shop or a farm shop and bought comté cheese from France, that would have spent time with an affineur. You know, every comté is matured by a specialist affineur in France. That's their system. In the UK, it tends to be the cheesemaker matures their own cheese historically. So the cheddar maker makes the cheese, puts it in their store, and they have great skills, cheddar graders, understanding how their cheese works. But it's a slightly different system here. So what we're looking at is how you can add value, change cheeses through maturation. So it might give people ideas that they can take back to their everyday business and think, well, actually, I might change temperatures or humidity levels, or I might use different caves or maturing rooms to get a different result to my final cheese. So the idea is it's giving people inspiration and ideas to take back to their everyday cheese production, which would then benefit you in the long run, with interesting cheeses.
I'm at the Affineur of the Year competition, where Patrick is head judge. There are 5 categories of cheese: hard, crumbly, soft, blue, and washed rind. Within the categories, each competitor was given exactly the same young cheese, no more than a week or 2 old, blank canvases on which to work their affinage skills. For the hard cheese, a cheddar made by Quicks. The soft brie style was Baron Bygods from Fen Farm Dairy in Suffolk. The crumbly cheese was Gorwith Caerphilly, made by the Truthowan brothers. For the blues, a Cropwell Bishop Blue Stilton. And, in the washed rind category, a goat's cheese called Rachel from White Lake Cheese in Somerset. All the affineurs get the same period of time to age their cheese, and that varies with the base cheese, with just over a month for that soft brie-like cheese to around 10.5 months for the hard cheddar. Crucially, each affineur had to submit a statement of intent, laying out exactly what they intended to do with their cheese.
People have done very different things with their cheese, different temperatures, humidities, different treatments, each with a cheese of their own that they've been looking after forever, all very different. And they've cut into them. They're seeing the interior from the first time, having a sniff, and desperately wanting to taste and not being able to just yet.
Over at the crumbly cheese table, the slicing of the mature Caerphilly cheeses was about to begin.
So, go with Caerphilly, Affineur brothers, competitors, please now cut your cheeses.
My name's Ben Ticehurst. I'm a dairy manager for Affineur Brothers. So we make this cheese. I was in the make room the day we made the batch that they've matured, and it's just fascinating, just mind-blowing to see what so much imagination can do with your own cheese. I'm used to seeing it in one form, but this is incredible. We're looking at oranges from the sticky pink kind of washed rind style of cheeses. We've even got a blue Caerphilly at the end, which that's going to be really interesting. You can see this one is clearly a washed rind cheese. There are some that have been wrapped in cloth. We don't cloth our Caerphilly, so that's a completely different technique. You've got the one that's been pierced. Obviously, they've skewered it to make air holes in it, allowing blue mould to develop, and they are traditionally blue cheese makers, the people who've done that. So I imagine they've also inoculated the cheese with some blue mould whilst doing that. So yeah, it's going to be a really fascinating thing to taste these cheeses.
So we're going to jiggle the room around. A round of applause, thank you.
The competition began 5 years ago when 10 aspiring affineurs were sent a cloth-bound cheddar from the Devon cheesemaker Quick's, run by Mary Quick, who is also one of the founders of the fast-growing Academy of Cheese.
We got some advice from the Wines and Spirits Education Trust, who do the whole sommelier programme, the Master of Wine programme, and we've now created this whole Academy of Cheese. Over 6,500 people, 92 countries, people are learning about cheese. Consumers are understanding what's important about cheese. Makers are understanding, giving themselves a breadth of knowledge. Mongers are understanding what's available. Distributors are seeing, there's something interesting going on here. And then out of that, we had this, at some point, we had done a swap of cheese between ourselves and Jamie Montgomery when the cheese was young, and we could see what would happen to cheese when it was matured somewhere else. There's something going on. The cheeses were so different in flavour. And then a colleague of mine, Patrick Spinazza, said, well, why don't we send out 10 of our cheeses and have them matured in different places? We talked with Tracy at the Academy of Cheese. She said, well, this is really interesting because it really fleshes out the whole idea of affinage and maturing, which other than that is a bit in the air, well, what's that about? So the first competition was 10 of our cheeses going out to 10 different people, maturing in 10 different ways. Wow! And it's built from there. And now we've got 24 different people maturing affinaging cheese with 47 different cheeses. And there's an atmosphere here of real creativity and excitement and just empowering all different parts of the cheese world, from consumers to the people who make it and everyone in between, that there is fun going on.
And fun has been going on with some weird, wonderful, and sometimes completely wacky results. These are some of the affineurs who've been working with Mary Quick's young cloth-bound cheddars.
So we've washed our cheese, then dry brushed it, so tried to get that kind of Alpine-style cheese. So we get that real kind of nice, it's still a bit sticky, a bit tacky, but actually it smells great.
I've aged mine like a dry jack.
Nice.
So traditional Californian cheese. So using a rub, a paste basically of olive oil, black pepper, and cocoa on it to inhibit mold growth, inhibit fungal growth.
My name is Will. I'm from Neal's Yard Dairy. We've aged it just in the way that you would age a Cantal, this French cheese, right, which is broadly similar to cheddar. But all you would do is you would just rub down the rind with the cloth on just a dry rub. We've been doing that once a week for the last few months. And then so a Cantal, you'll notice is when you look in the rind, it's all kind of mighty and quite rough. And it does seem to, it looks pretty rough around the edge, but it tastes really good on the inside.
Yeah, I'm Jazz from Paxton and Whitfield. I matured it with music, so I wanted to bring two art forms of music and affinage together. So I played songs with quick BPM, so quick for quicks, and put it on the wooden board, the speakers, in the hope that the vibrations would kind of break down the cheese a bit more and give it more of like a dense, smooth texture to it. So, yeah, an experiment.
My name is Rob. I'm from Southwest Cheese in Barnstable, North Devon. I washed it in smoked hay infused mead, and then washed it twice a week and turned it once a week and aged it sort of over the 10 months, decreasing its humidity throughout. Really pleased with how it turned out, actually. Just looking forward to trying it now.
Brushing, rubbing, washing cheese in mead and playing it music with a beat. Who'd have thought? For cheesemaker Mary Quick, the Affineur of the Year competition has had real impact on the way she runs her business.
Out of this competition, we're now maturing our cheese slightly warmer. Now, is that too warm? There are different rubs on the cheese, there are different temperatures, there are different treatments. They're doing research for us, but also creating a sense of excitement and passion. There's so much fun to be had with cheese. There is more cheese out there than, the bog standard stuff that you might see, in a convenience store. And there's just fun to be had. And I must stand, I think, in this world of more fun, more joy and pleasure and fun for everyone.
So these are Crockwell Bishop Stiltons. This year it was animal rennet. They are an 8-kilo cheese. Competitors got them at 2 weeks old, and they've been maturing them for another 10 and a half weeks.
In another corner of the crypt, the excitement of cutting into the mature cheeses moves on to the blues. Entertaining the crowds is Tracy Colley, the founding director and thus the Grand Fromage at the Academy of Cheese.
They do not pierce the cheese, which creates the bluing, before they get them. So that is the responsibility of the competitor. They're looking like absolute beauties. So, the big question is, are we going to have any bluing in these blue cheeses this year? So, Stilton competitors, cut now!
For the last few years, little or no blue mould has appeared in the blue cheeses, despite the Affineur's best efforts. So this year, there's real tension in the room as the cheese wire bites into the cheeses.
Wow. Oh, Bert's Blue has blue. This is good. You have blue. Who else has got blue? Let me have a little look. Whoa. Oh, Lucy! Look at that blue! Oh my God. It is so clear. Number 2 Pound Street, we've got even bluing. Wow, you guys are rocking this year. Hold them up so everybody can see at the back. Hold them up, guys. Whoa, they are amazing. You've all got blue. We have blue. This is fantastic.
After she'd taken a breather, I asked Tracy if there was a commercial point to what we were seeing.
What is happening is the cheese makers and the cheesemongers are trying to find a point of difference in this very competitive world. And if they can create that point of difference and, name that cheese a different name and with agreement in collaboration with the cheesemaker, then they're creating a new product that's unique to them. And I think that's that's what excites me about this competition, is seeing some commercial opportunities. I'm a bit of a salesperson and love to see that actually there's a economic benefit to the competition.
So you feel with that kind of economic benefit, you can make inroads into a market that still is dominated by plastic wrap stuff from industrial dairies?
Absolutely. And if we keep talking about it and you keep talking about it, then we're going to get to a wider audience and just getting people to taste it. There's a big fight on for the territorial cheeses, so the Cheshires, the Lancashires, the Wensleydales. And we at the Academy really want to support that. So we're hoping next year to introduce a territorial cheese. And Affinage could turn that around. So our generation, Sheila, probably, we loved our Lancashires, we loved our Cheshires, because that was all that was available. And now there's so many different cheeses available. So they're fighting for a place in the marketplace. And I think through Affinage, you can change those cheeses, change that Applebee's Cheshire. And we've got a couple of our competitors that now have commercial cheeses out of this competition that are being sold in the shops. So Bert's Cheese, she's got her Bidley Blue, and that was out of the competition. So she created it here, and she won Best Blue. She won the blue cheese category for Affineur. And then Perry James Wakeman, who's a judge this year, he's created Dillon. It's named after you, obviously.
Wouldn't that be an honour to have a cheese named after you? Yes.
I'm in the queue for that.
Affinage, it seems like you can do some pretty weird things. How weird has it got that you know about?
Okay, I think today that one, the cheese, the Rachel, that's been matured in the clay, I mean, they did have to cut the cheese in 4 to do that. What we try to enforce, though, for this competition is regulation and good practice and good food hygiene, good food science, because we have to make sure there's food safety out there. So they all have a pack and kind of lectures and talks around that and what's going to be good and great. So Owen won it 2 years ago. Owen Davis, who owns a cheese shop in Cardiff, Teak House, which means cheese house, and he got he's in Wales. He's mining industry, mining culture. So he was thinking, how can I bring this sense of place? And Patricia at La Fromagerie just fell in love with this cheese. How can I bring a sense of place to this, to the Affinage? So he got his dad to build this cage that was full of coal. So it was like, like chicken wire, but a bit stronger. And then it had coal all down the sides. And then he put the cheddar in this cage for 11 months, turned it and talked to it. And so I think that was pretty good. But it did add this minerality to the cheese. He just got the humidity right. So that was pretty wild. There's a lot of entrants this year, but I know that one has been playing jazz music to her cheese. So that's interesting. I've still yet to go up there and try some of these cheeses. So, I'm waiting for my turn.
Tracy Colley. This explosion of creativity was kicked off by a big change in the British cheese industry, as Mary Quick explained.
Historically, in this country, in the Milk Marketing Board time, all cheese was matured and sold by the Milk Marketing Board. So there was one way of doing it. Now, with the ending of the Milk Marketing Board in the 90s, people started maturing their cheese at home. But what they did was basically what they knew the Milk Marketing Board did. So with the traditional cheeses of this country, the cheddars and the Cheshires and the Lancashires, people on farm know how to mature it because that's how it was given to us, if you like, from the model of the Milk Marketing Board. And the idea that you understand from France with Laurent Mons at the caves in Saint-Antoine is that different treatments of cheese will genuinely give different results. They have a thing, and Josh Windsor at the caves of Murray's in New York, who's here judging, if you're not creating a difference, it's not worth doing. So that's the thing. There are differences to be made. And as cheesemakers who mature our own cheese, I'm really excited by that too.
So I'm Patrick McGuigan. I'm a cheese writer, a cheese educator, and today I'm the head judge at Affineur of the Year.
So who are these affineurs? Who are these people that have received these cheeses and treated them in this way?
So it's a mix of people who've entered. We've got a lot of cheesemongers. So people like the Fine Cheese Company, Neal's Yard Dairy, Paxton and Whitfield, who you'll know, but also some sort of smaller retailers have taken part. And also I think some cheese makers have been, or wholesalers should I say, are trying out different things. So in a way it's separate to the make side of things. This is people looking at how they could buy cheese and sort of take it in a different direction through maturation. It's already happening quite a lot in the UK. So companies like Fine Cheese, Paxton's, Neal's Yard, the Courtyard Dairy have been investing in the past 5 to 10 years in maturing rooms set at different temperatures and humidities so that they can buy cheese and sort of take it in different directions. So this affinage tradition in France and Italy is starting to take hold in the UK. It's a kind of trend. And Affineur of the Year has played its part in that, I think.
It's interesting because we were recording at Montgomery's and cheddar maker, but we tasted a whole week of cheddars and they were different. And the difference came from the starter. There were 7 different starters, or 6 different starters. So that there are other elements that go into cheese taste, aren't there, besides maturation?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a really complex business making cheese. And for a long time, I mean, I always say cheese is made in 3 places. It's made on the farm, it's made in the dairy, and it's made in the maturing room. All 3 of those stages, which every cheese goes through pretty much, has an impact on the flavour, the texture, the intensity of the cheese. So for a long time, there's been a lot of focus on the cows, for example, what they're eating, how they're looked after, how they're milked, which is absolutely right. That, what a cow eats, whether it's summer grass or winter hay, has a huge impact on flavour and texture. Then there's the cheesemaker who takes the milk, might pasteurize it, might add different starter cultures, bacteria, yeasts, mold. That has an impact. But this last section of taking that cheese and what happens in these deep, dark maturing rooms, the dark arts of the affineur have been a bit underappreciated, I think. And what's been really fascinating with this competition and other experiments that cheesemakers have been doing, like swapping cheeses. So there's been a lot of fun where cheesemakers have made a cheese and then swapped with each other and then matured them in different stalls or caves and then tasting what effect that has. And what we're finding is that the moulds, the yeasts, the bacteria, the time spent in these caves and maturing rooms has a really profound effect on flavour and texture.
Now that the cheeses have been cut, the crowds disappeared upstairs to the nave of the church to sample a lot of other cheeses on stalls set up by most of the cheese businesses involved in the competition, leaving just the judges in the crypt. Sniffing, tasting, feeling, taking notes. One of the judges was a man who's already won the competition 3 times, Perry Wakeman of the Cambridge cheesemongers Rennet and Rind.
We are looking at the rind and looking at and see how the cheese is maturing. So what bacteria, what microflora is growing on the outside of the cheese to influence the cheese. So this one has a heavy spot of muca on it, which is kind of like a cap fur type mould, which doesn't sound too pleasant. But if you have a smell of it, it smells like sort of mushrooms, forest floor.
Mushroomy, yep.
So that will impart into the cheese, and when you have the rind, you get a little bit more of that kind of like earthy, grounding kind of notes. Where something like a wash rind, we've got bee linens kind of that are growing on the outside there, so you're going to get like that funk. If you smell the rind, that would just really get in there, because that is proper like sort of gym bag type stuff, Yeah, that helps the cheese break down and create flavour.
There's some really funky stuff going on with some of the goat's cheeses over here. There's sort of things with beetroot, and they put things in clay moulds and all sorts of things. Once you get into affinage, into the kind of the nitty-gritty of it, there's quite a lot of discussion about, well, what actually is affinage? So would, taking a cheddar and putting pieces of apricot in it be affinage, or is that just a flavoured cheese? I think that the pure definition of affinage is where you take a cheese and really fundamentally change its flavour using microbes. And in some ways you can look at affineurs as being mould farmers or microbe farmers. They're trying to encourage, they're trying to get exactly the right environment for the right yeasts, moulds and bacteria to grow. depending which types of microbe they want, because they will all bring slightly something different to the cheese, whether that's flavour or texture. So the cheddar you're eating has been they've taken the cloth off and they've washed it like you would a Gruyere or a comté. And that encourages using brine to encourage a particular type of bacteria, which is called Brevibacterium linens, B linens, and then the same bacteria you find on human skin. So you often with these cheeses get an almost sort of sweaty socks kind of aroma from the rind. But when you taste them, they tend to be savoury and meaty, have a bit of sweetness. You're tasting that cheddar now. How are you finding it?
It's lovely. That combination of the sort of richness of the cheddar without the sharp edge, except there's a little bit of an edge, and then it is more like a comté it's lovely. It's like nothing I've quite tasted before.
So that is showing it started as cheddar, but by using, in this case, bacteria, they've taken it into a different style of cheese altogether. So it's got a bit of cheddar, sort of the remnants of cheddar, but then it's sort of almost tasting like something that was made up a mountain. I don't think there's many mountains in Devon, are there?
At the washed rind cheese table were judges Emma Young from the French-English cheesemongers Mons and Josh Windsor from Murray's in New York City.
Are these the kind of cheeses that would sell in New York?
Actually, it's really exciting to be here because we age about 17 different cheeses made by different producers from around the world, and we do crazy things with them to kind of bring out new and exciting identities on them. And so it's really exciting to see all these different creative approaches to aging, from coating them in clay and aging them in pots to mead and bee pollen. Yeah, there's just a lot of creativity on this table right now.
Is there any, you don't have to tell me which one, are there any that you think are just a disaster?
Nothing's a disaster, but there are learning opportunities.
That's a very tactful way of putting it, right, yeah. Okay, yes. This one, this looks like a cheese that's been in a road accident. What is that one?
So this cheese has been aged in clay. So the cheese was made and salted and sent to the Affineur, and they put a slip of clay around it and then let it cure for the aging. And you can see the various rinds that grew because of it. The most texturally different of any of these cheeses on here. So just that act alone radically altered the cheese.
Have you ever tasted either of you, a cheese
We're about to taste this one. Oh, you're there are some traditions, particularly in southern Italy, of aging cheeses in clay.
In Britain, we haven't had affineurs have been a very rare group, but this is a common profession in France, where you are from.
I'm English, but I work a lot in France. So yes, absolutely, in France we're a lot more used to affinage. A lot of it started in a very empirical fashion, so not so much from a technical perspective, but just looking at what's happening and seeing at what stage a cheese is and what you should do with it thereafter. Now there are many affineurs in France, and they really specialise in specific styles of cheese, and they get them to the best sort of organoleptic profile. In the UK, as you mentioned, we haven't really done it. We've had the cheesemaker making the cheese, and then it's like, okay, it's ready. But it's a really interesting thing to see the innovation and creativity that people are coming out with these days.
And how did you get into this business?
Accident, like most of us. So it was a part-time job at university that was industry I fell in love with immediately, and it's stuck. There's so much to learn. Cheese is excellent, then you don't want to leave cheese. And we have a really good community. There's always so much to learn.
So you got into it by accident, both of you?
Kind of. I majored in philosophy, which always leads to cheese at the end.
My name is Laurent Mons. I come from just near Lyon. That's our factory, family, where we make cheese, we aged cheese, we sell cheese. I try to teach affinage. We learn with experience. I am very lucky because I have a 3 generation of affineur before me. My grandfather, my father, my brother, my son, everybody affine in France. And we like... in fact, we have so many different cheese each 2 kilometers. Affinage is a solution for trying to be different. Sometimes with Affinage, you make the same cheese as your neighbor, but not the same.
And you mature Cantal, is that your cheese?
Yes, and Mathieu Cantal. I'm I'm born in Auvergne, and Cantal is in my blood, and cheddar is your Cantal, or Cantal is my cheddar.
Probably cheddar is our Cantal. Probably.
Yes. Probably yes. And that's similar and so different. I think the process, sure, but Affinage too change the cheese.
A few days after the competition, we tracked to her home base another of the judges, cheesemonger and Affineur Patricia Michelson, who runs La Fromagerie, a small group of cheese shops across London. We met her in the tiny shop in Highbury where she began her business about 30 years ago.
So come into the cheese room, Sheila. Here it is. It's all in double glazed. Chilled to about 8 degrees.
Okay, so along here we have quite a lot of hard cheeses at the back, from Gruyere and Gouda. Then we have the cheddars, Westcombe cheddar, Isle of Mull cheddar. And there you have, I mean, you mentioned earlier the camembert. Ooh, that camembert smell.
Yes,
isn't that
it's
nice?
Got lovely and cabbagey. But it's how to know it's ripe. You don't do it that way. Don't do it on the top. Always from the side.
Squeeze it from the side.
Just gently
and
squeeze
it's
it.
Just
You can
gently
see
giving.
Just giving, yeah.
Ooh, so that if you took it home and left it at room temperature, it'd be perfect this evening. Right.
Yeah.
What are Affineurs about, especially? What are Affineurs about in Britain?
In Britain, it's something very, very new. It's a ripener. It's a ripener or a maturer. With me, it's about looking after the cheeses and making sure that they are reaching their ultimate potential in a cooled and humidified environment, that it's good for them, so that they look beautiful and they taste beautiful at the time when you want to eat them. But
is what's going on here? Is this affinage?
It is, because you're still continuing the process of the cheese, even though it's open. Look at you're always watching the rinds and you're watching the pace. You're seeing from any external mold growth here that you're looking after as well. And there's very, very, very young cheeses over there, the Robbiolas, and they've only just starting to get their mold growth on them, just there. And they will start growing in this atmosphere, because we don't use any product here, to clean. It's just hot water, very hot water on the floor, and we just scrub down. You can see it's all wooden shelving and straw mats.
The wonder of it, that it's milk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sheep's milk and it's goat's milk and it's cow's milk, but it's milk, and yet it produces all this astonishing variety of taste and appearance and
Yes, and it can be from all different parts of the country, and each region of Britain can actually produce its own variety of cheese, because it's got its own pasture, its own climate, and it encourages certain cheeses. The north is hard cheeses, and then you come to Nottinghamshire with all the iron ore, you have blue cheese. In the centre, Gloucestershire, you have all the washed rind cheeses. The south, you have lots of goat's cheeses. Cornwall, Devon, Somerset, you have the cheddars, and also lovely hard goat's cheese. We've got the land to do all this. We can do what's been done in France, Italy, Spain. We've just got to recognise what our potential is, and to do it properly as well.
And all that means the importance of maturing, of affinage, as we saw at the event the other day.
Yes, I mean, what they did at the event was fun, and it was lovely to see how far you can take something. But just little things that you can do. I'm I've got a walk-in cheese room, right? So you walk in and you look around and it's like a little library of cheese. But even if you've got a counter, you can do little things into your counter to make sure that your cheeses are kept properly and you can ripen them nicely. There's little tricks and little things that you can do.
How did you know how to do this? How did you train?
I don't know, really. It's funny. It all started when, I came back with some Beaufort cheese, and
being on holiday in
yes,
France.
after a skiing holiday, I came home because I came home with a wheel by mistake because I'd said I wanted a piece of cheese, and they saying a pièce is a whole wheel, and so I was lumbered with this, and and it sort of kick-started the business. But I've learnt, and I'm still learning. So 35 years later, I'd still say I'm an amateur, and I'm very proud of being an amateur. So, I'm learning from the cheesemakers, from the way that they look after the cheeses, talking to people.
Lots of people will say, well, I buy my cheese from the supermarket, some of it's marked organic and, has the name of a place. And, and it's a lot cheaper than it is, coming here or to any other cheesemonger. Why should I care about this?
Oh, gosh, where do you want me to start? It's because of what we are actually consuming. I'm all about farmhouse cheese, handmade cheese where it comes from, having it at the right season, that the animals are having a really good life and are not overstimulated and made to be milked constantly. It's completely different food. And taking 100 grams of our cheese is like having 400 grams of another. It's so concentrated in its flavours and all its proteins that, you don't need to eat much. I always say don't buy too much because that's all you need. Come back tomorrow, you can always get more.
There's so much hope in this conversation, but where is British cheese culture, you might call it? Where is it now? Are we holding on or not?
Oh, no, we are holding. I think having something like the Affineur of the Year is quite interesting because it's showcasing what we can actually do with a cheese. We don't have to make it continental, although people do sort of use the techniques. I think that there's always going to be a buoyancy with British cheese because it's still young in a lot of ways. But what we have to look at now is our regions and how we can define our regions to make them really interesting for people to want to go and visit that region for what they're actually producing, like you see in France.
People visiting a region of the UK to taste its particular cheeses, what a wonder that would be. But let's finish this programme where we started, back at the competition, where the big announcement is just about to be made. Just who will be crowned Affineur of the Year in 2026?
All right, the clear winner is the Courtyard Dairy in hard cheese.
Hard cheese for the Quicks cheddar,
which had a lot of people confused because they thought it was maybe an Alpine cheddar of some description. But come on up.
Congratulations, boys.
I'm James Spence. I work at the Courtyard Dairy.
Yeah, and I'm Simon Ferros. I'm shop manager of the Courtyard Dairy. So we went down like a continental style, so almost like an Alpine style cheese. So what you end up doing, it was a bit like a kind of a comté Gruyere crossed with a cheddar. So we didn't want to detract from Mary and James's Quicks cheddar because it's an amazing cheddar. But we wanted to, with affinage, you can't change the make too much, but you can change that kind of post-make and what happens after and where flavour development goes. So we washed it. So we got like that pink tacky rind. You might have seen it on a lot of soft cheeses. We started off by using morge, and morges are like a concoction of bacteria, and we washed it in that. Moved on to brine washing. So these bacteria that create the pink sticky, they are salt tolerant. So that's what grows and helps those grow. But then you stop that process, and then you start another process of brushing the cheese. So it's a multifaceted kind of process, and this was the cheese I was most kind of, not concerned about, but kind of most excited about, because there's been so many processes and changes, and we've been trying to dry it out and not make it crack and things like that. That it's, as I guess, again, it's great to have won that cheese and won Affineur.
It's been 10 months of complete care with that cheese. That is the cheese that it's taken the most. every day, turning, brushing, caring, making sure it didn't dry out, making sure it didn't crack. And to win is just amazing.
I've been full all day, but to have this community that are so supportive and all the shakes of hands and your cheese tastes amazing, and we reciprocate that. Everyone is just lovely.
Patrick, I think, said that the dark arts of affinage. What is that? What excites you about it? That you're doing something almost magical.
Yeah, so it's almost changing that product from its intended state into something completely different, just by doing stuff externally to it, or doing lots of different processes to achieve an end goal that is different to what maybe the cheesemaker originally wanted. There's another part of affinage, which is just maturing cheese in a great way and making it taste great, and that's what we've tried to do with the cheeses we've done. We've not gone any funky flavour added stuff or anything like that. We've just had to go traditional, or really think about things like the rind and why is that rind like that, and what can we do to make it different. So I was thinking always about the what and the why. Why is it like that? What can make it different? And how can we achieve that end goal? So as an industry, stuff like this, what the Academy of Cheese run as well, is just great.
Get more people eating great cheese.
Exactly.
Anyway, congratulations
Thank
to
you
you
very
both
much.
and to Andy and Kathy.
Yeah.
That's Andy and Kathy Swinscoe, who set up and run the Courtyard Dairy in Yorkshire, the centre of a web of farmers and food producers that we've featured several times on the food programme. In fact, last year they came within a whisker of winning the BBC Food Awards Producer of the Year gong. There's a remarkable team up there, including James and Simon, this time showing their skills at those so-called dark arts of affinage. A cheddar brushed, washed, tended, coaxed into something that tasted of the mountains. What creativity there is on the farms and in the dairies all over Britain, producing cheeses that are among the best in the world. Affineur of the Year, it sounds almost comic, quite un-British. But it's a competition that's already attracted young people into the cheese business and produced new cheeses now on sale all over the country. The future, in fact, looks deliciously cheesy. Thanks for listening. It was presented by me, Sheila Dillon, and produced in Bristol by Robin Markwell.
This Cultural Life from BBC Radio 4.
I will never go into anything so deep like that again.
The world's leading artistic figures reveal their creative influences.
Disobey, disagree, disavow.
I'm John Wilson, and my recent guests have included the sculptor Anish Kapoor, photographer Annie Leibovitz, the actor Kristen Scott Thomas.
It has made me good at telling stories about people who have a secret suffering.
And former children's laureate Frank Cottrell Boyce.
If art's got one function, it's to point to what's wonderful and say, look, this is your world, it's insane.
Listen to This Cultural Life on BBC Sounds.